So this is like the 2 minutes of awkward silence that
I
we
love it.
fill with nonsense while we allow everyone to join. I'm sure that everyone that is, as participants start to flood in, they would love to hear our previous conversation.
Yes, that would have been good. I think people would
Or
really
not.
love
That's
that.
okay too.
Justin, you can at least inform everyone that you can put a filter on so that you don't have to look at yourself
Yeah.
on Zoom. I did not know that.
A
I
pro
think
Zoom
that
tip. It's a pro Zoom tip. Yeah.
Are people getting excited for Boston, Jody? While we're
Yeah, very
killing
much
time?
so. Don't let me forget to remind everyone once they're on, today's the last day of early bird registration. Um, but no, we're super excited. The agenda came out last week and starting to fill speaker slots. And yeah,
Good. I love Boston, so I can't wait.
are you going to the game?
I'm pretty sure I have a ticket for it.
Okay. Yeah, on Saturday evening. Yeah. If you don't, all sold out.
Yeah. I got a buddy there, so we could always like buy him on StubHub or something and
Yeah.
meet you guys.
Yeah, we're getting really excited for Boston. I haven't looked at the playoffs, so are the Yankees and the Red Sox in playoff hunt? Do you know if they're leading their divisions? It'd be
I
really
think
cool if we get there and it has playoff implications.
think the Yankees are in fourth first, but I'm not sure. I can look that up right
I'm
now.
not sure on Boston. Yankees are in a good spot.
Faith is saying it doesn't matter. It will be. It will be epic. Like it
Yankees
doesn't.
Yankees are 2 games back. Boston's 3. So the answer is yes. They're both above 500.
They're in the hunt.
100%. Yep.
I have to look and see what Amy said. Oh, if you're registered, you don't have a hotel, get your room now. Amy put in the link, the connection, or the link to get your hotel room. So you want to make sure that everyone gets that done. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SIP. We're filling airtime where we're allowing everyone to get logged in, but we will get started. We were talking about the upcoming conference at Boston, and everyone's getting excited about that. And even more so, it's only 8 weeks. It's hard to believe. And it feels like it's 2 weeks from now. We're so busy getting everything, trying to get everything organized and worrying about missing out on something. All right, everyone, you are on the right show. Welcome to the SIP. It's a space where conversation fuels connection, collaboration, drives innovation, and industry leaders come together to tackle challenges. Just like catching up for a cup of coffee, the SIP is all about meaningful discussions that move us forward. At TMC, we're committed to fostering a forward-thinking environment where our members thrive, grow, and make lasting impacts. Today, we're here to share insights, real-world case studies. I challenge you to say that 3 times, and strategies that highlight the power of working together. A big thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. And welcome to today's show. It is proudly sponsored by Blend, an industry leader in the point of sale space. We're joined by Justin Venhousen, who is the general manager and special guest. Mike Dulla, the president of United Home Loans, and here to share their insights and expertise in the front lines of lending innovation. So grab a cup of coffee. I ran and actually have a coffee mug for maybe the first time, and there is substance in it. It's water, nothing fun. But grab a cup of coffee and let's dive in. Welcome to you both.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Yeah, for sure. So Justin, you're fairly new in your role as the general manager at Blend, and you bring valuable experience from the lending side of the business. You, like me, are a recovering lender.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through your career journey and what inspired you to transition into the tech space?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been about 7 months. So my background, though, as you said, in lending. So, there's in the mortgage technology space, you got a lot of technologists, you have a lot of mortgage folks. I'm a mortgage folk. That's where I came from. That's where I've spent my time. So that is at my core. I did it for over a decade, so 12 years. I was at a distributed retail independent mortgage bank, Compass Mortgage, out of Chicago. As the chief operating officer there, not far actually from Mike and I are like 20 minutes away from each other, so we're actually close. But that's the core and kind of where I came from. While I was there, I'd say operations and technology were probably the two biggest focuses. But really, anything within a mortgage company that you need to help run it, I was involved with in some way, shape, or form. So that definitely kind of set the tone for my career. I'm a mortgage lifer for sure, and this is the space I've chose to be in. Last year, I pivoted over to Blend. Blend was starting a new segment, let's call it a focus on an existing segment, um, independent mortgage banks. So it's where I came from. It's what I was. All 12 years of mortgage for me were in that segment. It's what I know. Um, if you know independent mortgage banks, which I know most of you do, a lot of it's focused on that origination process, heavy focus on the loan officer and how to support them. So bring a lot of those tools over to Blend. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm the general manager for independent mortgage banks at Blend. I own the segment, so it's everything from the sales process to product to support. I own. So I joke with people I'm talking with who are thinking about coming to Blend is I never go away. Like the person you deal with works for me, and that's a good thing. Like I'm invested in all parts of the process. So excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that it's a great move on Blend's part to add someone who does know the lending side because you can study as much as you want to, unless you've been on those front lines, it doesn't translate into the way that lenders think. You can only you can listen to what
Yeah.
it is all the time, but really having that real world experience is very important.
That's part of why it worked for me is that it was such an outstanding product already. Like it is the leader in the space and people recognize it as such. So I mean the two big components I talk about is someone who speaks your language just because I've simply sat in that seat. So whether that's support or a sales conversation or a product combo, I can have those at a deeper level. And then just a bigger focus on product for independent mortgage banks is the other piece. So we've always had people working on the product, the mortgage product that IMBs use. But what's new is we have focused engineers specific to IMBs and their needs. So we have a team working on just IMB requests now, which we're super excited about.
That's awesome. Mike, many of you know of the TMC community know you well, but for those who are tuning in for the first time or who haven't had an opportunity to meet you, tell us about United Home Loans, your role with the organization. It's great to get acquainted with both of you, and we'll look into other ventures here in a minute, but let's dive into you, Mike. Tell the world who you are and who United Home Loans
Sure,
is.
sure. First and foremost, we are a proud TMC member. We
Thank
have
you.
been, Jody, for 7 years, I think,
Wow,
something
that's
like that,
awesome.
or damn close to it. And Felix and I, as everybody should know by now, we are the reigning TMC bags champ from the last conference. So anybody that's out there that plays cornhole, bring it. We are ready for you at this next tournament. Just kidding. We got lucky, but it was fun. United Home Loans, in addition to being a TMC member, is a mortgage banker that's headquartered in the Chicago area. So our main offices is in Western Springs, suburb of Chicago. We've been around since 2002, so we've seen it all. We have an office in Chicago. We have an office in Nashville, and probably like everybody else on this call, we're having some really good months. We're having some not so good months. June was great. July is pretty average thus far. But it's the mortgage business, right? And you just got to roll with the punches. So we were doing
Yep.
it, and I couldn't agree more with your previous point. I was super excited to see Justin as a hire for Blend because we know Compass really well. They're great people over there. And it was great to know that somebody who's one of ours is now in that space and knows how to talk our talk and walk our walk.
That's awesome. He gets us.
Yep, agreed.
So let's shift gears and get into the meat of today's discussion. So, Justin, Blend is widely recognized as a leader in the point of sale category. How do you envision Blend being positioned in the marketplace, and what sets you apart from other POS platforms?
Yeah, we're very excited about the future and how we're positioned. A lot of difficult work has happened the last couple of years, like it has for anybody in the mortgage space. You know, it hasn't been necessarily fun years. It's been challenging, but also with that, a lot of growth. And I obviously was not around for all of that and the things that happened. But what Blend has done as an organization to position itself, really incredible and sets us up for the win in the future. Um, Profitable company, you know, shifting from still growth, but shifting from high growth to a profitable business quarter over quarter. And our last several quarters have been that way. Debt free, so built for the future without a lot of risk to be around for the long term. And then using what do you do with that? Using that to invest heavily in product and in our customers. And I think the team that I have been able to build is a great example of that, right? That costs money to stand up a new team that didn't exist before to better focus on a segment. And that's a great example of how resources are being allocated to better serve our customer base. Um, how are we different? I think the POS space, has changed so much. I mean, our company's 13 years old now, which is kind of crazy. Um, I think POS, a lot of folks, if you haven't spent a lot of time in it, it's data input and document intake, right? And that it sure is at the core of a lot of what happens, but that's not where most of the conversation should be had today. Like that's out of the box anything now, right? That's not your differentiator. That's just being in the space. So where do we spend our time then with that? We're end to end now. So in addition to that upfront process and where we're focused, better integrations with things like the underwriting process. We have an e-close tool, right? That's really gaining a lot of market share, whether that's hybrid, e-note, or Ron. We have a proprietary Ron solution that's best in class. So a lot of those things have shifted for us. And I'd say our integrations and how deep they are pretty unique. I think that the term integration I learned very on in the mortgage space is super fluffy, and you really need to dive into how are you integrated? How deep is it? Blend does integrations right. An example of that, like income, everybody does different versions of verification of income. Our instant income product, while the borrower is working through the online app, by the time they get to employment and income, we've already done a search on the lender's behalf to see where they work, to see how much they make. And it's simply presented and says, hey, is this correct? And would you like to use this for your application? They click yes, day one certainty from employment and income. No lending team members involved. So that's one example of many things where it's just like it's so much deeper than I think sometimes these surface level POS conversations get. And that's where we're spending a lot of our time and energy is like, how do you do things more efficiently? How do you do things faster? How do you better support loan officers?
I love, it's like Meta knows if I'm talking about something and shows me on Facebook an advertisement of what I was talking about. So if Meta can know me, why can't lenders know where I work? It seems like brainless, but I'm glad that you all have figured it out. Very innovative. And then Mike, we know that you have been in business since 2002. You've been a member of the Mortgage Collaborative for 7 years. How long has United Home Loans been using Blend? And can you share the typical workflow and highlight the key Blend features that your team relies on?
Sure, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's been about 4 years. Sounds like I'm pretty sure we're just finishing our fourth full year. And honestly, it's taken over our entire process, really. So I would say 98% of our loans start on Blend. I mean, maybe higher. You occasionally have the outlier that doesn't understand tech at all and is unable to start it, but those are typically someone of a certain age and, you know, and very few and far between. So usually, you know, the loan officer has a discovery call, and obviously that is outside of Blend. Once they win them over to some extent, we send them the link to the digital application, or we'll point them to our website, or it's embedded in our email signature. The client will go to Blend and complete it. So they're going to run their credit. They're ideally going to work for an employer, and we're going to get the verification of employment back. Justin, is it Truve? Is that who it is?
We have relationships with several verification providers. TrueWork is our exclusive one that we have that's set up. We just did our new rollout with this past year.
Got it.
Like the instant verification product I was referring to was them.
Yeah, and we've seen that a lot. We encourage all of our clients to link their bank accounts, and I would say we probably have 75% or higher adoption of that. People just do not seem to have a problem putting in user ID and passwords. And of course, in addition to the instant verification, which is day one certainty anyways, you know, a lot of our Freddie findings are just using the client's checking account statement and verifying income from the deposits through that. It's generating a letter of explanation for inquiries. So it's serving them up the inquiry letter that they're digitally signing at the time of closing. And then, of course, all of our loan documents will go through that. So, you know, you're going to have your meeting with the client after they complete the digital app. There's usually a pre-approval in that, some back and forth. Then, of course, they execute it on a property, and Blend kicks in again at that point. It's our conduit for all of our loan docs that go out to them. So our application, you know, loan estimate and all disclosures. Then it's our change in circumstance LEs, and of course, it's our closing disclosures as well. So it's really sort of from beginning to end. We have not yet explored their e-closing platform. That's something that we'll definitely be talking to them about. But, you know, I mean, if you would have told us 10 or 15 years ago that you'd basically have an underwriting ready loan with very limited loan officer interaction between the time the client starts engaging with Blend, and then by the time they're completed, if they're done with that, I mean, it really takes an enormous amount of work off the loan officer's plate and allows them to focus on higher level things such as consulting. And, you know, a lot of it, at least in the Chicago market, is still winning the offer because there's still limited inventory here. So, you know, we're focusing on those higher return activities and letting Blend do a lot of the heavy lifting on the other stuff.
Yeah, you make a great point. And Justin, we've seen this industry wide where people are trying to front load as much as they can of the loan life cycle as possible before the loan ever reaches the LOS. And Blend has appeared to be ahead of the curve. What capabilities does Blend offer pre-trib application besides verifications, like highlight like that pre-approval process?
I think so much. I mean, again, like talking more about the shift, not like our core, yes, but also the shift that the industry's moving towards. So much of it, you know, it's the origination process, and then it kind of moves into like pre-underwriting, right? Like, how do I prep for the underwrite? How do I have a clean file? How do I have less conditions come out of that? Those two exercises are kind of becoming one. It's probably an oversimplification of a lot of the stuff we're working on. To Mike's point, some of those specific things, like some of the stuff that's happening with assets right now is fascinating that the GSEs are driving. You can have a borrower, this is true today. I don't think the conversion points are there yet, but as the GSEs build this out, you can have a borrower connect assets and get verification of employment, verification of income, and verification of that asset statement with a single connection, all day one certainty. So you have income, assets, and employment, day one certainty ready for underwriting by a single connection. That's where things are headed. I mean, it's a huge, and Blend is very well, you talk about positioning. Our asset tool has been around forever, is included with our mortgage product. You know, I know one of these other questions we'll get to is costs. included in our mortgage product, not an additional cost. And you can be ready for underwriting with those three things. That drastically changes the mortgage life cycle, both turn times, how long it takes an underwriter to get through those things. He already also touched on LOXs, right? We're scrubbing documents as they come in and auto requesting letters of explanation. There's a lot of the focus on the origination side when we talk about better supporting loan officers is just how do you same thing we've done on the borrower side for a decade. How do you make it frictionless? How do you make it so that these folks can focus on what they're really, really good at, right? And sometimes that's putting together a loan, but often these are sales activities and relationship building with customers and structuring deals, right? And so that's a lot of our focus with moving things up front is relieving those activities, automating them where we can, using technology where we can, to not only help with the origination and get them in, but to have a better underwrite, which increases your pull through, but also reduces your turn times.
Yeah, and clients love only providing what is absolutely needed, not what generic lists are. So
100%. And that's like the income thing I described earlier in app. The closing team could go in and click a button to re-verify later, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's talk about what consumers want. They don't want to be asked again, do you still work here? Right?
Can you get your supervisor on the phone?
Yeah. So those are all things that have been thought through as we built out these tools.
Yeah. And Mike, this is a topic that people ask all the time, but we've seen lenders struggle with adoption with many tech rollouts, and some even have to relaunch due to poor initial engagement. How have you navigated change management with Blend, and what percentage of I think you said your loans about 98% start there. It sounds like you have a significant success rate from a change management perspective. So how have you been able to get that adoption with your team?
Well, wasn't sure if I was unmuted. We changed a whole lot at one time. So we changed our LOS, our POS, and our pricing engine all at the same time. So change management and loan officer adoption and really employee adoption, there was no other choice in the matter. So we were kind of unlucky, but lucky at the same time in order to make that happen. And I got to give kudos to Paula Rosales, our head of ops. I believe she's on the call. She did a great job just putting material together. One of the demos was a live demo of me completing the Blend app as a consumer and putting in real information, selecting, one of my bank accounts, running credit, which I thought was good at the time, and it was good, but you're always a little worried. Did I miss something? Where was it going to come in? And the loan officers, I think, seeing me do it, gave them a lot of confidence that they could convince their clients to do it as well. Because, why people think it's more secure to take it over the phone and type it into an LOS from a coffee shop or wherever you may be, as opposed to through a secure, portal like Blend. I don't know the logic there, but that was definitely some of the fear, 4 years ago when we were rolling this out. And then we did multiple demos that were recorded, and we held a few different training programs, and we got a couple of our top loan officers on it. And I think it was a little bit of follow the leader there. And, if it's good enough for them, it should be good enough for us. And it also showed that it really helped some of our top people do some volume numbers that were probably not feasible with the staff we had with our prior providers. So the rollout went really well. I'd like to think it was something that I played a small role in it. Paula played a large role in it. And I think our loan officers were also open-minded and kind of ready for something new. So I kind of give credit to all three groups in terms of the rollout there. And yeah, I would say it's 98% plus. And I think even if somebody doesn't start it that way, the entire loan ends up going through that as well, because that is the system for how we deliver every document to the client. So even if they don't all start there, they all end there.
Yeah, those are amazing numbers, and kudos to you and Paula and the team for being able to have that success. And we're going to go a little bit deeper and get a little uncomfortable here with Justin. As someone who is tapped into the conversation across TMC network and the industry, I've heard a few common critiques of Blend, and might just be not knowing, but I've heard it's too expensive, it's too tough to configure. It's built only for IMBs. Justin, I know that you've heard these. How do you respond to those objections? And what would you say to those who may be hesitant to make the jump or to look at Blend?
Yeah. I actually love that you're bringing this up because there's so many, I think, misconceptions that are out there from folks not close to the process. So the ability to actually address these things, I very much appreciate. So thank you. Too expensive. We'll start there. Um, First of all, there's always this conversation of what's included with your product. What are you comparing to? I've already mentioned a couple of these things. Like if you're looking to do apples to apples, some things I'd say right off the bat, add the cost of assets in, um, add the cost of your DocuSign or equivalent signing tool. These are all things included in Blend under the hood. After you do that, and when you look at our price, I think you'll still see we're incredibly competitive. We are a premier solution, but we're priced very competitive. And if you question that, my ask to you would be have the conversation. Like, I think you'd be surprised how competitive we are in this marketplace. And we support everybody from like, so my segment is IMBs and builders, right? We also have separate segments for credit unions and depositories. So we do truly support every type of bank and lender that there is. But hopefully you can see when the comment it's only built for and then fill in the blank, part of the intentional reason for the structure we're doing is to make sure that no group gets left behind, right? So we could sign a massive depository and it doesn't change a single thing my group does day to day, or vice versa, right? So our intense focus is very, very much on that. As we build things, the configuration thing I think is always an interesting conversation. I think you've got certain pieces in the mortgage eco space that are highly configurable and you can do whatever you want. And I think some of the decisions lenders need to make this year are tough because they've done whatever they wanted for 10 years and they have a ton of technical debt, most of which isn't relevant anymore. And they're figuring out what they need, what they don't, right? Like there are negative sides to configuration. On the flip side, when you want to implement and roll something out quickly, you need to be able to, you can't wait 2 quarters for your company to develop something that you need, right? So that's the balance. That's kind of the both plays. I've seen the positives and negatives of both. One thing I'm super sensitive to while we're building new things, especially it's called loan officers and administrators. Our borrower tool already has most of those configurations built in. You can add a custom question in the application process. Like we've got a lot built out there. I'm spending a lot of time adding additional admin configs and loan officer configs to make sure that their particular preferences for how they do things are also incorporated into the product. And I think you'll see huge improvements to that in the next 6 months.
Awesome. We're running close on time, and so we're going to have to cut out some of the questions. But Mike, I would like to hear your perspective when you hear it's too expensive, it's too tough to configure, it's only built for IMBs. And what is your take? What's your perspective on this? And you're using it in real world and have real world
Yeah, I mean,
experience with it.
it's not cheap, that's for sure, but we looked at it as replacing 2, possibly 3 providers. So one was more of a digital application that didn't do a great job retrieving all of the documents. It did an okay job. The other one did a much better job at retrieving the docs, but it wasn't as sort of intelligent up front. So we looked at it, and then it also replaced a lot of the different asset providers, or they were at least more affordable than some of the other ones. So we looked at it as replacing 2, maybe 2.5 providers. So you really kind of got to do the math to determine what that cost is. I mean, if you compare it to one, but it's a much superior product and it does more than just that one provider does. So in my opinion, it's well worth it. I mean, it puts together a much cleaner file than who we were working with before, a much more complete file and a better experience. I mean, honestly, in a lot of the reviews we get, People just commonly refer to it as the portal, but they say portal is super clean, super modern, and easy to use. So, we're big fans. Justin and I did not rehearse any of this stuff, but we're big fans of Blend and the lift it's given our business.
Yeah, that is awesome. And that's a wrap, if you can believe it. We are 29 minutes into the conversation. It's been incredible and truly appreciate the insights that both of you brought today. A huge thank you to Blend for sponsoring this episode and to Justin and Mike for lending your expertise. And of course, a special shout out to the listeners. Your engagement helps drives the industry forward. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, July the 22nd. Hard to believe we're at the end of July for the TMC community and 4 p.m. on LinkedIn. We do have a time change on LinkedIn to bring this show to TMC members who didn't catch it the first time, or to those who are outside of the TMC network. And if you enjoyed today's discussion, imagine 3 full days of this level of content and collaboration. TMC members get registered for Boston Now. Early bird ends today, July the 15th, and rooms are also filling up, so get your rooms booked today. And if you're not a member and you want to explore the opportunity to attend Boston, please reach out. I'll be happy to fill you in on the benefits of the network. So that's a wrap. Cheers, and see you all next time on the show.